Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another Tactical Gaming Journal entry. Today we're going to be looking at the long-awaited Maginot Line map along with the upcoming massive armor overhaul, or should I say complete vehicle overhaul. It's exciting times for Post-Scriptum. We might even get some time to throw a couple little Easter eggs in this episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for the support. We're barreling towards 2,000 subscribers. Ring that freaking bell because if I can muster the time, this is going to be a real exciting week for the channel. Alright, let's get it. The Maginot Line, named after the French Minister of War André Maginot, is a line of concrete fortifications, obstacles, and weapon installations built by France in the late 1930s to deter invasion by Germany and force them to move around the fortification. The Maginot Line was impervious to most forms of attack. However, the Germans invaded through the Low Countries in 1940, bypassing the line to the north. The line has since become a metaphor for expensive efforts that offer a false sense of security. The Maginot Line was invulnerable to aerial bombings and tank fire and had underground railways as a backup. It also had a state-of-the-art living conditions for garrison troops, supplying air conditioning and eating areas for their comfort. French and British officers had anticipated the geographical limits of the Maginot Line. When Germany invaded the Netherlands and Belgium, they carried out plans to form an aggressive front that cut across Belgium and connected to the Maginot Line. However, the French line was weak near the Ardennes Forest. General Maurice Gamelin, when drafting the Dial Plan, believed this region, with its rough terrain, would be an unlikely invasion route for German forces. If it were traversed, it would be done at a slow rate that would allow the French time to bring up reserves in a counterattack. The German army, having reformulated their plans from a repeat of the First World War era plan, became aware and exploited this weak point in the French defensive front. A rapid advance through the forest and across the River Meuse encircled much of the Allied forces, resulting in a sizable force being evacuated at Dunkirk, leaving the forces to the south unable to mount an effective resistance to the German invasion of France. These screenshots were taken from the official Discord and happen to be a little better quality than the ones that were originally posted on Steam, just so you know. So now we're going to just jump straight into the armor overhaul. If you missed it, the Yazoo over on Twitch had a stream with Snazzy Duckling himself, and they went over everything that there is to know so far about the armor rehaul. I'm just going to try and summarize it with the best bits, so if you want to see the whole thing, head over to Twitch, _Yazoo.
The Armor Overhaul is almost a complete rework of the entire vehicle system alike. Not just the tanks, but the entire vehicle system. And I've actually sent you a video that I think we should play in the background and let it play on a loop maybe.
While I can play that now, yeah.
I think we should play that while we sit here and talk. Put it on a loop and just have it play there in the background so people can see what the new shell system will look like. And just to kind of preface what's happening here on screen, you can see the lines, which essentially tells you where's the projectile going. You can see the small little fragment lines, which are essentially like piece of fragments from the armor that it penetrates. The big round radial is an explosive. It's essentially like a damage ring that tells us how much damage you take. And different rounds will work different ways. One of the most exciting parts about change for the armor is the shell system and how shells interact with armor in the game. One thing we want to simulate is the difference between a solid AP shot and AP shells with high explosive fillers in them. This is now fully simulated within Post-Scriptum in the new armor system. And for those who don't know, a straight AP shell is essentially just a big lump of metal. It will travel into a tank, and if it can, it'll continue going out through the other side. An APHE shell has a fuse timer, which essentially means that once it hits and penetrates the armor, it'll explode within the tank, sending fragments all over the place. You can actually see this on the next shot here. With the APHE bouncing, you see how the fragments go absolutely everywhere once it pens the first piece of armor. And this will work on armor, it'll work on buildings, it'll work on whatever. So you could shoot into a building and absolutely evaporate anyone inside the room and shell them with fragments. Because Post-Scriptum is not a tank simulator, we're not taking the simulation to a one-to-one scale. So there is still, kind of like random chance. We're still kind of gamifying the system just to make it a little bit more little bit more fair and giving a more even playing field. But the rules of engagement will be a lot more dynamic. Usually how it goes is that the first tank to fire a shot is usually the one that wins the engagement. And that's why we kind of prepared this little showcase, the work in progress that we made on the penetration system. Keep in mind, it's not done yet, so this is just how it is now and what we've done so far. It shows how different shells act, when they hit armor. How shells act when they hit armor inside, as well as how fragments bounce around the interior. And they'll hit you, they'll hurt you, they'll set fire to the tank, they'll do a whole bunch of things. And yeah, the shell won't stop existing now until it exits the level or travels unrealistically far. So you could bounce off the front plate of, say, Painter and have the Shan land somewhere else in the world. If you're really unlucky and have really, really bad RNG, you could get hit by it driving your Logi out of main base.
I mean,
it's not impossible.
To me, it looks amazing, and what you're saying sounds amazing. Let me just get this straight. So I could shoot at one tank, the shell could bounce off and hit another tank and kill that other tank.
And pen and kill that other tank. You can see it in one of the shots where you see it around. The AP shot, it bounces off the side of the M4A3 Sherman. It pens the rear of the engine block on the back.
Appreciate it.
And realistically, that fragment that a shell that engine would have caught, that shell, it would have damaged the engine, the fuel tank, and the shell would have stopped there. But since they kind of tanked the empty, you can see how they kind of bounce around the interior.
Yeah.
Until they come to a stop.
And you say this is all vehicles. This new system is going to work on all vehicles. It's not just tanks. We're going to have similar mechanics for everything.
Not just tanks. Obviously, tanks are the most complex because they will have you won't see like the lights and the fragments. They're obviously only there for debugging purposes. So you won't see a lot of what's happening inside the tank. But this is just to visualize you that there are things happening inside the tank, even if you don't see them at all ever, because you won't see those fragments fly around inside your tank. But just to show you what will happen once it hits your tank, what the fragments will do within the tank. They'll just kind of go around everywhere. And they have a chance of, damaging components and damaging players and tank crews and especially tank crews. Like APHE will probably be the most dangerous thing you'll ever face as a tanker, because it's that one thing that can have a chance to absolutely decimate like an entire crew.
Yeah.
Just make you pace inside a tank.
See,
and again, all of it relies on random chance, right? We still rely on random chance just because we have to gamify it for gameplay purposes. This is not a simulator at any means, and it should never be taken as such. We're doing our best to simulate the most accurate tank gameplay we can with what we have. Yeah. And I think this system shows up perfectly how good we've nailed it. And this is only the shell stuff. We haven't even talked about the vehicle handling, how vehicles will act differently on different terrain, how all of this will function within the game. And that is still to come.
That's right, folks. An entire vehicle and armor overhaul. They're talking about making the tanks and vehicles just feel heavier. And the whole idea is to make the vehicle and armor combat feel just as good as the infantry combat and gameplay does. And again, this is all kind of early on. I mean, this is only the tip of the iceberg. They're talking about being able to knock off tracks. So even an infantry guy with a Piat or a bazooka would be capable of knocking off a tank's track, rendering them extremely vulnerable, and then one of the crewmen will have to jump out and repair the track manually. So expect to hear a lot more about this armor overhaul. This is super exciting stuff for Post-Scriptum. And if the armor gameplay could come just as half as fun as the infantry, this could be really big for Post-Scriptum. So super exciting stuff. Snazzy then went on to even hint at a new armor vehicle coming to the game. He basically said this new vehicle would be like a very slow, big bunker. And immediately the community got to voicing what they thought this secret new armor vehicle would be. And being that this particular vehicle is, I think, the second most requested vehicle behind the Tiger II, the Jagdpanther, basically a big, brutal shitbox. These vehicles, I think, came along later in the war, and only 400 were made. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But while we're on the topic, if you could pick one vehicle to add to Post-Scriptum, what would it be? Maybe one of these big train tanks. If we go that far, we might as well have another civilian faction with railway workers. I'm just joking. I mean, if we go that far, we might as well introduce this freaking giant gun, the Schwerer Gustav. How about a freaking tactical donkey? How sweet would that be? I kid. But do let me know whatever you would add, what vehicle, what piece of armor would you add to the game if you could. Now this is a perfect time to give away a freaking copy of Post-Scriptum, isn't it? Congratulations, Mr. Rayer. Come on down, claim your key. Remember guys, if he doesn't claim it, we're just going to re-roll it. Let's find out if Rayer watches the videos or not. And this is also a perfect time to show you 2 pictures that I found in the Discord, and I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be showing this, but they didn't delete it from the Discord, so I would imagine it's okay. And all it really was captioned was like Ardennes Alamo Dev Branch. So Snazzy, somebody, if you don't want this up, just let me know and I'll take it out of the video. But these pictures are freaking awesome, and it just shows how well the Battle of Bulge is coming along. Cannot wait. I hope all of you are just as excited as I am about the future of Post-Scriptum. I want to thank each and every one of you for the support. We're barreling towards 2,000 subscribers. Come join our little Discord community. I want to get to like 1,000 members and we'll be able to shake things up. I mean, I'll be able to just make a post saying like, hey, let's go populate Day of Infamy or Forgotten Hope 2 or Red Orchestra Darkest Hour. Any of these old games with empty servers. That's something I want to do in the future, is just have a legion of gamers that are willing to go play these old tactical awesome games that are for some reason dying, for lack of a better word. But to give you a little incentive to join us, we're giving away freaking Steam keys every weekend. So if you want to enter the giveaway, all you gotta do is like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and drop a comment. But most importantly, within your comment, leave your Discord name and number. Just a little security measure. We had a key sniped in the past and don't want that to happen again. But make sure you're part of the Discord community and definitely subscribe to the channel, because I'm not gonna lie, I rolled somebody today for the winner and went to go check if he was subscribed and also a Discord member, and he wasn't. So guess what? I re-rolled it and Rayer's now the winner. So Rayer, you got that guy to thank. I'm not going to drop his name, but anyway. Alright, you guys. Freaking be good to each other. Peace.